So have you felt that feeling of exhilaration from landing your first client? It's kind of like that feeling of you've been putting in the work, you've been learning, you've been growing, you have an amazing program or product that you know can change the world, and you finally get an opportunity to see it in action. You get to help somebody achieve their goals. I got to say, whether it's your first client or your 1,000th client or your next client, it is a really great feeling when you get to hear those words, yes, I do want your help. And that's what we're going to do for you guys today. We are going to have the beginner's guide, how to secure your first or next client. Now, we've been working with a lot of entrepreneurs now for a while, and there's something that I see that works better and it's something that people don't even think about when it comes to making their first sale, but it's something that will help you get better clients, better results, and to start that transformation with somebody else by giving them not only incredible results, but having them shout you from the mountaintops. And that's what we're really diving into today. So we are super excited to break down this process with you. So if you're ready to dive in, you're ready to grab your first or your next client because you really do have a program or product that you want to share with the world, well, then let's go.
It's time to redefine leadership. Welcome to Modern Leadership, where we see things differently. Our channel is all about empowering entrepreneurs like you to achieve the next level of success in business and life. We believe that you can create a massive impact in the world without compromising your personal life or family time to do so.
We're committed to providing you with actionable tips and strategies weekly to make that possible. So if you're ready to become a modern leader and make a lasting difference in the world, consider subscribing. Turn on notifications and dive into our community. We want to thank you for being here because the world needs your leadership now more than ever. Let's go.
Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Wow.
Super pumped to see all of you guys here. All of our Inner Circle members. We got Julie and Marie. Cynthia, what is going on, my friend? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Super pumped to talk about this topic because getting your first client or your next client is always a really great, exhilarating feeling. And it helps you bring that confidence that you truly need to continue to help more people and to make more sales. And sometimes I find that people overcomplicate their first client. They overcomplicate that first person that they get to work closer with, right? Or even overcomplicate their next client. Like sometimes they think it's going to take all of this work and this monumental stuff, and they're going to have to post on social media for 32 days, and they're going to have to do all of these, a million free calls. And it's like, in reality, no, your first client is right there. You can grab them and you can reach out to them. You can touch them. You can have conversations and it'd be super easy.
Touch them. Just
don't grab and touch them unless they pay extra. Okay.
Oh
So guys, welcome back. As I get kicked under the table, by the way, I still have a broken ankle and yet you're still kicking me under the table.
I am not. I haven't touched you.
But I want to shout out somebody real quick. I want to shout out Julie, who's a member of our Inner Circle. Julie, you being here no matter what. So Julie is not an entrepreneur, even though she thinks like one. And she has been in this really incredible career that she has made a lasting impact on. She's able to retire, and yet she makes it to every single freaking call. I'm so proud of you, Julie. I want to be you when I grow up. Seriously, I want to be you when I grow up. I'm so glad we met 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 12 years ago. It's been a long time. But I'm so thankful to have you in my life. But thank you so much for always showing up the way that you do. There's one thing, guys, when we think about leadership, and I want to really talk about this because it also applies to today's conversation, is when you think about leadership, you think about how does this apply to me and my situation, even when your brain tries to convince you it's not, right? So I know when I was growing my business, there you go. I was actually in a multi-level marketing company that is 98.999% women. And they were talking about how, they had mom guilt, and they were talking about how they were struggling with their kids while trying to build a business and all this kind of stuff. And it would have been very easy for me to go, well, this doesn't apply to me. But can I tell you that I learned more from them than I learned when I was hanging out with other people who looked and were like me, men, people who were fathers. It's crazy what happens when you're willing to lean in and go, I can see things differently. I can see how this applies to me. And I'm going to find things in this presentation, in this training, that's really going to be able to help me. And it's crazy what happens when you actually do that. So thank you, Julie, for that. Thank you. Thank you. And of Kurt Kane, aka Kurt, the behind the scenes guy, is going to be here helping us deliver this. So let's dive in. You ready to dive in?
I think so.
Okay. What do you mean you think so?
I don't know where the questions
Our
are.
words create worlds. There's no questions. You're going to come up with them.
Oh, okay.
So when we think about finding your first client, right? Signing your first client, selling your first product, selling your first program. We're going to talk about this in it's kind of like 3 parts. It's always 3 parts for us. Okay. There's the mindset, this how we approach the specific situation with the right frame of mind to set us up for the greatest opportunity for success. Now, mindset is the game changer. We say mindset, but what we really mean is like the subconscious thoughts, the thoughts that you're telling yourself that get you to show up, to give you the best chance of having the energy, the motivation, the I want to help people, not the weird, oh, I feel like all icky and what am I going to say and all this, because that is making it about you. But we got to really tap into our mindset so we know why we're there and what we're doing and why we're doing it, right? And when you figure out that mindset piece, then comes the second part, which is the tactics. And the tactics is, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3. You can't just think, oh my God, I'm so positive that this is going to work, and then not have any tactics because nothing's going to work, right? And so being able to have that those mindset first, and then the tactics are really important. And then comes the third piece, and that's getting you to do it. That's you being held accountable either by a mentor, a community, a team, all the above, maybe even here in our community, to get you to show up and take those actions. Because some of you guys are the greatest when it comes to mindset. You have all the tactics, but you're just not willing to do that because you know it's going to cause you to fail and you're going to learn from it, right? And so having those 3 components with everything that we talk about here on the channel, that's what we give you. I mean, if you look at our Monday videos, we've been answering a lot of questions from our people here, and we haven't really talked about that. Like, you guys send us so many powerful questions about business, about family connection, about like juggling and all, being able to master that balance, right? Being able to make more money, being able to make more impact, social media stuff, like so many different great questions. And we've been answering those on Mondays, and we're going to continue to do this, but we break it down always into 3 pieces, because just like this, what we're going to be talking about here today about like securing your first client is you could be missing one of these pieces and it will cause the whole thing to fall apart. And so really making sure you have all 3 of these pieces, yes, in today, but also moving forward, is incredibly important. So we're going to start off with piece number 1. You ready to do that?
Yes.
All right. So what are you going to ask me? You going to ask me something? Okay. So what are the mindset shifts that we need to make in order to be able to really lean into us impacting and helping someone, and like not only being present there to help guide them through this process, but being there to be their support person and their motivation to be able to follow through, right? So there's 2 mindset shifts that I really want you to think on. And these are stories that we tell ourselves. Now, Marie is part of our life coach certification this round. Super proud of you, Marie. Cannot wait to have our first experience next Saturday. But when we think about mindset shifts, we think about stories that we tell ourselves that we can believe, that once we believe, it will get us to take the actions that we need to take, right? There's 2 of these, right? Now, when it comes to finding your first client, these are both ones that have served me, but also served a lot of the people that I coach to help find those first few clients, right? And the first one is, my goal for my first sale is not to make $1 million. It's to build the confidence so that one day I can. So I want you to think about that. My goal of my first sale is not to make $1 million, not to make the most amount of money that I possibly can, not to say the highest number that comes into my mind. My goal is to build confidence so that one day I can. So when we first started off in our business, we were not charging the rates that we are now. That comes with confidence, but it also comes with, when you first get started, you have to build up when it comes to you putting things out there on social media, you having conversations, and you selling your program or your product. So we have a lot of people who say, you got to start high. And I'm like, well, maybe, but if you start too high and you can't find those first few clients and you're talking to 20 or 30 people, it kind of hurts your confidence, because your confidence is based off of the things that are happening on the outside. Now, you could say, Mark, but I can generate self-confidence, and you're 100% right. You could say, I have full belief in myself, knowing that only 2 possible outcomes are going to happen. I'm going to lean in, and I'm either going to fail, which means I'm going to grow, or I'm going to do it right, and it's going to be successful, right? But that only can go so far. What happens if after 100 times you still haven't succeeded? Well, most people can't push beyond that. We're trying to change that, but most people can't. So what I really encourage you to do is to get some quick wins under your belt by realizing selling your first client, selling your first program and your first product, especially if you're the person who sets the prices, your goal is not to make $1 million. Your goal is to learn the confidence and skills you need in order to someday do that. And it starts by actually, having a conversation with somebody and selling it at a price maybe you wouldn't typically sell it. Some people that we have actually sell it for free. They give it for free and they say, in result, I want you to be able to talk about me on social media. I want to get your testimonial. I want you to be the best testimonial and have the best transformation ever. And so that I can use your story in my marketing. Like that's what some people do. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But really thinking about this, like my goal is not to make $1 million. My goal is to learn the skills and the confidence to someday do that. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And it's that mindset that your program is going to evolve as you do this, because the people that you're going to be talking to are really going to fine tune your program, because you're going to really talk to people and ask them what their struggles are and what are some of the things that are keeping them from moving forward. So you're going to create your program. And sometimes, like the best advice I think sometimes is to actually create the program after you've actually talked to people.
Yep.
So even you don't have to have like this elaborate program and all of the pieces put together. The best way to put your program together is along the way, as you talk to people, as you actually say, hey, I can help you. And you don't have to have all of the pieces, because they're going to help you put that together.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually such in perfect alignment with what we're going to be talking about here today. Because in the beginning, when you first get started, you have people who already know, like, and trust you. And they're going to be the people that I'm going to share with you in a minute that we're going to be talking to. And those people, you don't have to sell them on you being a life coach or you being trustworthy or they already trust you. They already believe in you. They already are going to be there to help you, right? And so when you think about this, you can help them on a different level, because you don't have to be as specific about the problems as you would a random stranger on social media. The more random, we call it cold audience, you get, the more specific you have to be at the problems you help them solve. So for example, if you're a life coach and you're like, hey guys, jump on a free call with me and I'm going to be able to help you hit your goals. Like if you have somebody who knows, likes, and trusts you, they might reach out to you. But everybody else is going to peace out and go, I don't even know what that means. And they're going to keep scrolling. But if you're like, hey, if you're someone who's struggling with being able to juggle it all because you have a full-time job, you're trying to grow your business and you're trying to be there for your family, jump on a call with me and I'm going to help you get to the root of what's actually holding you back and help you come up with a plan to be able to excel at it all. Now we're thinking, oh, wow. If it's somebody who doesn't know, like, and trust you yet, they're like, oh, I might be interested in learning this, right? Because it's more specific in terms of the problem you help people solve. But that usually comes later. Yeah. It doesn't come from like the beginning of you thinking about it, right? I was talking to one of my one-on-one clients yesterday and I'm like, you're not going to find the solution by thinking about it. It's never going to be perfect when it's in your brain. It always has to come out into the world before you can perfect it, right? Because you cannot improve in action. Can't improve it. It can't get any better in your brain. Like it makes total sense until you put it out into the world. That's the way that it happens, right? That's why this is a big science project. That's why mindset shift is number one, is make sure that your goal first is to not make $1 million in that first sale, but to develop the confidence and skills you need to one day do that, right? You're going to learn so much from it. Teresa said it before, but like when I think about the price that I used to charge, I think it was pretty fair because that was the coach that I used to be. Because as you coach more people, as you help more people, like you progress. So we're in round 8 of our life and performance coach certification. I feel kind of bad for round 1. Not gonna lie, all right? Because round 8 is like way better than round 1, right? It's because we've learned so much. Us as coaches, us as teachers, us as facilitators, all those kind of things, right? And you're gonna get better with age, right? It's like a fine wine, I think. I don't drink alcohol, but that's what I heard. Kurt told me. So, all right. So mindset shift number 1. Mindset shift number 2 is going to be a super quick one, but I want you to catch this, is your best clients, the ones that you're going to be able to help the most, are the people who are often so close to you that you wouldn't even think of asking them. So the people that are going to be your best clients, the ones you're going to get the best results with, are the ones that are so close to you, you haven't even thought about asking them. Think about that for a second. Also think about how that programs you to find those clients, because they generally are the people who are closest to you. Do you know who mine was?
Your mom.
My mom. I mean, other than you.
Oh, yeah.
You were my first client.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Technically.
You were my first health and fitness client. And then guess what? My mom.
Yeah.
And then my dad. And then my brother. And then I was like, holy smokes, this is picking up steam, right? And it was that confidence that I built from going through there, right?
Mhm.
And it's crazy, like those people who are closest to us, the people who are closest to us at work, people that we're actually already coaching, the people that we're already like having conversations with, the people that we already have sold other programs and products to, but we haven't talked about this new one. Like those are the people, your family, your close friends. Those are the people who know, like, and trust you, and they will become your best clients in the world. If you can get past the whole story of like, oh, like why would they want to like get my help, right? They're so close to me. They're my family. They're my friends. Like, I just feel really weird and awkward. And I'm like, well, if those are the people you love the most, being able to lean in, wouldn't you want to help them the most? It's like, hey, you're my friends and family, so I do not want to help you. Please struggle with your problems, but I'm going to help this random stranger over here. Yes. Right? And we don't want to do that. We want to tap into that. All right. So that's mindset shift number 2 is we're going to find people because they're going to be your best clients. They're going to get the best results. And they're going to be the ones who you help the most. And we're going to do that because they're going to be the people closest to you that you never even thought of asking. Okay. Now we're going to dive into the tactics. Ready?
Okay. So yeah. So what are some of the tactics that people can
after I
give you some
stop.
water?
Thank you, COVID. So let's dive into the tactics around it. All right. So when you have these 2 mindset shifts, it leads you into, okay, now what do I do, Mark? What do I do? So the first thing that I want you to really think about is I want you to think about the problems that your product or program helps people solve. Okay. We really do have to get into like, what kind of problems do I help people solve? Right now, because they're going to be very close to you, people that are going to be very close to you, you don't have to get very specific, but you need to have some verbiage, which I'll share with you in a minute. Like I put together a little script for you guys to be able to share. You need to have some kind of specificity. So you don't just go, hey, can we have a call? I just want to show you something. Right. And so you have to have some kind of specifics around what it is that you help people do. Right. And who it is that you help. And, you know, you can relate it to them. You can keep it kind of vague. You don't have to get very specific into the problems, but really thinking about things first on like, okay, what are a few problems that I help people solve in my program or product, right? So if you're a life coach, what are some things that I help people solve? Like, do you give them more clarity on the actions to take? Do you help them prevent them from getting stuck in their own kind of like self-sabotage? Do you get them to stop talking themselves out of like actually reaching their full potential? Like when you think about this, you should be, or I want you to think about like, what are some of the problems that you help people solve? So for example, Kurt. So if he helps people solve problems where they've got so much stuff on their plate, they just don't have a time to do it. And when they do it, it's like really low quality. He helps people get back to living their life and while also giving them the best product that they'll ever have and they would never be able to do on their own. So when you think about the problem he helps people solve, he helps them give them back their family time. He helps them continue to grow their business. He helps them by giving them like the confidence, knowing that it's going to get done. It's going to get done early and it's going to be the best thing they've ever seen. And when you realize that's what I give people, right? Now you can have a conversation with people, which we're going to talk about second, is to having that conversation with them and really having getting them to see that you can help them in that specific problem. So first is thinking about what problems your program or product solve. And there could be a multitude of them, but I want you to really think about that. All right. Now, when we're talking about that, I want to help you with this piece. All right. So as we go in the chat, when you think about the problems that your program or product helps people solve, type them in the chat. I want to help you because I want to help you with the verbiage that we're going to talk about a little bit later, because it helps to kind of get a script, but it really helps when I can help personalize it for you and for what you help people solve. All right. So step number 2, after identifying a few problems that your programs or products actually help people solve. Number 2 is I want you to think of someone who is close to you, someone who could use help in the area that you're specifically helping people with when it comes to your programs or products. Okay. And they would be the type of person that would help you no matter what. Like I knew that Teresa was going to help me. I knew that my mom was going to help me. I mean, my mom still like 74 and she's like still doing Shanti programs. And that was like 12 years ago when I first did that. Right. And she still shouts out, "Hey, Mark, guess what happened over here? Guess what's in Shakeology now?" And I'm like, "Mom, like you are like my biggest fan." Right. And so it's people like that who would, no matter what, they're going to say yes to actually help you. Right. So if you have friends, you have family, I want you to think about them. I want you to think about like people in terms of like that you can help in this very specific area that you just named. All right. So think of someone who's close to you who could use that help in that area. Now, step number 3 is I want you to set up some time or to actually have a conversation with them so that they can help you perfect how you communicate, how you pitch, how you share your program. So here's what I mean. When you reach out to someone, like let's say I reach out to my mom and I say, hey, mom, like I am in the process of creating this program so that people who are limited on time can find the time to work out, to eat healthier, and to lose weight. And as a part of that program, like I'm having conversations with people to kind of share with them like how I can help them do that. Would it be okay, because I really do value your feedback, if I jumped on a call with you and I practice this so you can see what it is that I'm doing, but also give me some feedback so I can get better along the way? Now, you have a conversation like this, and this is how all of my early conversations was. And it's not like, hey, mom, I want to sell you on this program or product. It's like, hey, I'm helping people, these kind of people with this problem. And I would love it if you could give me some time so that I could get your feedback, because I value your feedback so much. And I know your time is very valuable, but I love it if I could share some of what it is that I have put together so that you can tell me what I can do to continue to improve it, right? Now, I have a script here that I'm going to read just for you guys. Let me copy and paste it. Actually, Kurt, can you do that? Can you copy and paste it in the chat, in the normal chat for everybody? This is a little script that you can use when you share with someone, all right? And you're going to want to personalize this for you and for what your problem that you help people solve. But this is going to be the script, okay? It is, hey, Jill, I know this might be out of left field, but I really value your feedback so much. I've been working on putting together a new program for X, Y, and Z, which is the type of people who want to X, Y, and Z problem to overcome, right? So I'm putting together a brand new program for entrepreneurs who want to be able to create more content without them having to do it, but having it look really professional so they can do the things that really matter the most to them. So that would be an example if I was Kurt, right? Follow-up was, I wanted to see if you'd be open to having a call with me so I can get a chance to practice and share how I help people in that area and get your feedback. Would that be something you could help me with? Now, what you're doing is you're asking them to jump on the call so that you can have some conversation with them and they can share some of the feedback from that program or product. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't matter if it's a physical product. It doesn't matter if it's coaching. It doesn't matter if it's a leadership course. It doesn't matter. All that matters is how you communicate it and that you're getting them on there so that you can share how it is that you help people and get some feedback from them. Now, the truth is I want you to get feedback from them. This really isn't a ploy to get your customers. But what I got to tell you is, like, when you get to the end and you're like, so like, what do you think? Like, can you give me some feedback? And they give you some feedback. A lot of times you would turn around and say, hey, thank you for that. I'm definitely going to implement that moving forward. Do you know anybody who might actually be interested in something like this? And I got to tell you, like, everybody that I talked to was like, yeah, me. And it's like, oh, wow, really? Like, this is something you think would be helpful? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, if you were to do this, then I would give you a super huge discount because you're a family member and because you're helping me, like, with putting this together. So absolutely, I would love to do that. This is what that would look like, right? And so what you're doing is you're getting them an opportunity to provide feedback. And even if they're like, yeah, I have some friends that might like this, or no, but I'll think about this in the future, you've still planted a seed, guys. When people think about sales, they think about like me getting on a phone call and right now making a sale. That is not how sales work. Sales work by you planting a seed and then cultivating that seed and then watering it, giving it some sunlight, and then one day it's sprouting. It could be today, but it could be 6 weeks from now. It could be 6 months from now. It could be however long from now. But it's you planting those seeds by even having that conversation is going to, number one, get you better at having that conversation. But number two, planting the seeds so that they can come to fruition a little bit later. All right. So that is step number 3. Now, step number 4, we kind of talked about this, is making the pitch. And that's going through, I want you to do this. Like, if you're part of the inner circle, and by the way, anybody who has a green name is a part of the inner circle, obviously. Drew is here. Maria is here. Julie is here. Julie, what's going on, my friend? What's going on? The other Julie Collette, and Julie Elizalda. So if you're part of the inner circle, I have a workshop that I did where I talked about, if I was on your sales team for a day, what I would teach you. That is like the script and how I kind of like put that together is really how I have a conversation with somebody specifically around life coaching or selling a specific program or product to get them to kind of like hear what the pitch is. All right. So if you have not heard that one, definitely go to that video. It's something only for the inner circle. If you're not a part of the inner circle, if you click the join button underneath here, it's like $10 a month. You get like exclusive access to calls and stuff that we do a deeper dive like that, like me joining your sales team. But that was a strategy that I used that helped me go from $40,000 a year to $400,000 a year by being able to ask really powerful questions there. So if you haven't seen that, definitely go there. But I want you to, and step number 4 is make the pitch. And if you're like, hey, do you know of somebody who might be interested in this? And they're like, they would be, then I want you to be prepared to give them some type of discount for actually being one of your first or even your next client. Because if they're willing to get on the phone with you, they're willing to help you, they're willing to, even at the end saying, hey, what questions would you have? Let's just say that you're interested in this. All right. You may not be, but I want to say, if you were interested in this, what questions would you have that maybe I forgot to answer? Right. And so now you're diving into like a whole bunch of different things that maybe you wouldn't have been able to know if you hadn't asked them. But by doing that, you want to give them a discount for what it is that they're doing, because they are showing up and they are helping you in that capacity. Right. That's why I said that these people will also be your best clients moving forward, right? So the more that you can get on with people like this, the more that you can have this conversation, not only the more you improve your pitch and how it is that you share it, but also the more that you can make an impact by getting them on board, whether it's right then or a little bit later. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Any questions or anything come up for you?
Mm-mm.
Okay, step number 5 is rinse and repeat until you have your client, your first client. So some people have done this, and on the first time they knock it out of the park. That was me. I was crazy because I was a police officer, and I was like, I don't know how to sell people, but yet I was selling people in handcuffs every single day without fighting me. I mean, literally, like, people, I would have to go to jail for they did X, Y, and Z, and I was good at getting them to not get into a fight or whatever, right? Okay. And so I'm like, in reality, like, I guess I am pretty good at sales. So having that conversation, like the first couple conversations, everybody all said yes, but that doesn't mean that it's going to happen for everybody. So being able to ask yourself, like, who is a person, maybe a list, maybe make a list of 5. Who are some of these 5 people that are close to me that would say yes to me to help me out? And how can I set it up where, like, they are actually helping me up, but also if it's something that they think that actually could be beneficial for them, that maybe when I get to the end and I ask them, like, hey, do you know of anybody that you think would be interested in something like this? Thank you so much for helping, but would you know anybody? I got to tell you, like, a big majority of them will say me. At least that's what I have found. So some of my clients sometimes take 4 or 5 people before they go through it and they find that person. But from almost all the clients who have done this, they always tell me that those are the best clients. Those are the ones who show up, who stay consistent, who literally don't want to let you down. And so they show up just on an entirely different level. All right. So this is the process of getting your first client. Now, I want to talk about a bonus step, all right, that you can utilize so that you can actually speed up this process moving forward. But then also I want to talk about the whole accountability piece, because this is all about getting yourself to do this stuff. It may sound beautiful right now, but when you get into your real life, sometimes we can talk ourselves out of it and not do any of it, think that this doesn't apply to us. There's nobody in our life that's close enough that, like, they can't use our help or anything like that. Any of these stories that your brain tries to convince you of, we want to tackle that. And I'm going to tackle that in a minute. But first, I want to give you this bonus step, because I want you to be prepared for this while you're going through and having those conversations. All right. Now, when you're having these conversations with people and figuring out what their problems are and all of those great things, you're going to start to see that you are already known for helping people with something. You're already known for that. Like, you didn't have to do any social media posts. You didn't have to, because remember, these are people who know you. And when they know you, they're like, oh, I go to Teresa because, like, I need a little bit organization in my chaos, right? Or they come to me and they're like, hey, I really want some help around coaching or leadership, right? And you don't realize that because they're close to you, they already know what your specialty is, and they will come to you and ask you questions about that thing. And so I want you to keep, like, an open ear to those conversations, right? So if people are coming to you for the same thing over and over and over again, you have to ask yourself, using what's called global listening, like, is this something that I want to lean into for my bigger audience? Now, let me give you an idea here, because in the beginning, when I lost 100 pounds, people were coming to me to lose weight. And in the beginning, I really enjoyed that. I started to help them. I started to take action. And I realized that later, I liked better helping entrepreneurs, especially with relationships, especially with their family, right? That was my thing. And so you might get to the point where you're like, I love talking about this thing. And so you start talking about it and you start dealing with those problems and you become the go-to person. For me, it was helping people lose weight when they had a crazy career as a first responder, right? And then it got to the point where I was like, I'm going to make a little bit of a pivot because maybe I don't love this as much as I thought I did. And then I'd start talking about this other thing, right? But when you start talking about something new that people don't know you for, it's going to take more time. So if you're like dead set on like, no, I'm going to help people in this area, and maybe it's not the area that people are coming to you from, you can 100% do that. It just might take you a little bit of time to get started because these people that you're connecting with, right? These people who know you, some of them your whole life, my mom, right? They know you and they connect you with something that is like your expertise. And most of the time you don't even know what that is. It's something that just comes so easily to you that you just take action on it, right? For me, it's getting myself and others to take action. I didn't know that was the thing, right? Because I used to struggle with it a lot, but I developed a system, which is what I shared in my book and why I wrote my book. Because when I was able to develop that system, I realized it was just me leading and coaching myself and asking myself better questions. And by doing that, it got me to show up better. So guess what people started to do? They started to ask me how they could coach other people. So people started, they came to me and they're like, hey, I'd love to have you as my coach, but I'd also love you to teach me how you coach other people. And it was through that process of like having conversations with the people that were close to me that helped me find what those strengths really were, because people were coming to me over and over and over again for that same thing. Now, even if you think that it's not the same thing, sometimes it's like a personality trait or something. Sometimes it's something you do really, really well. I know for Drew, like Drew keeps things very simple for people. She makes it like she doesn't beat around the bush. She's very specific around this is what you can do. These are the actions that you can take. And she leans into that. And people are attracted to certain personalities and the way that people teach and talk and train. And maybe that's why they come to you, right? They don't want to like beat around the bush. They're like, no, just give me what I need to do and say it in a nice, compassionate way, but kind of get me on track as quickly as possible, right? And so that could be the thing. You won't know until you start having these conversations. But basically, I want you to put yourself out there to have these conversations with your friends, your family, the people who are closest to you, so you can learn all of these things and see what comes up for you versus what I see people do for their first client, shooting in the dark, throwing so much stuff on social media, thinking that maybe some stranger or somebody else is going to come out and find you. Instead, I want you to take the approach of, I'm going to find my first client and here's how I'm going to do it, right? And through that process, you'll be amazed at everything you learn, but also the people that you're able to help because you're able to help those people.
Yeah. And I think this goes back to the whole niche thing, trying to find your niche. You're not going to find your niche by just posting on social media. You're going to find your niche or the people that you want to help by talking to people. And sometimes it's people who you wouldn't think would be kind of like your ideal clients, but then they turn out to be the people that you want to work with.
Yeah. And even if they're not, like, let's say they are your ideal clients, they will show you what your skills are and really what your skills aren't. And based off of that, like, you can run with that. Now that's evidence for you to move on. Okay. All right. So I told you these are 3 parts. So the first piece of the mindset, second was the tactics. And the tactics is just merely finding somebody who has a program or has a problem that your program or product can solve that's close to you, and that you're going to ask them if they could jump on a call with you so you can kind of share how you're creating this program so you can get some feedback from them, because you'd really love to hear some feedback. And you share it with them. And through that process at the end, after they give you that feedback, thank them so much for it and say, hey, I'm just curious, do you know anybody that could benefit from this program? And if they say themselves, then you give them a discount, then you tell them what that's going to look like, and you move forward with it, right? And however many times you have to do this, I would rinse and repeat through all of the people that you write down. I would make a list of at least 5, maybe 10 or 20 of people that you can reach out to, right? If you're maybe like me, where you're an introvert kind of person, you have like 3 people on that list, it will grow. Trust me, because when you're like, oh, you know what? Mom said yes. Dad said yes. My brother said yes. How about my partner? How about my friend? How about Teresa? How about like my kids, right? There's so many different people that we can have conversations with, and they are willing to help you, right? And then once you get that to that point, you're taking that actions, or you're having those kind of like conversations. You're going to use those conversations to help you lean into finding people on social media who maybe aren't as what we call a hot audience as that. Maybe they're a little bit more warm audience. They've seen you posting on social media. And now you're talking about the clients that you help through this, right? That you have these clients in it's a different feel when you're sharing like some of the clients, some of the stuff that you're actually helping people. And I know it's family, but still helping them through. There's a different level of energy when you share that versus, hey, I'm looking for my first kind of client, which is some of the energy that I see out there. Does that make sense? Now, the third piece is the accountability piece. And that is like how you get yourself to show up and to do this. And we're going to do this right now. So for those of you guys who are here on the call, who are going to commit to having these conversations, all right, I want you to write in the comments here how many people you are going to have a conversation with. Start the conversation, meaning step 3 is just reaching out to them and saying, hey, sorry to bug you, or hey, I know this is out of left field. That conversation or that script that we had Kurt post up here. How many of those are you going to do by next Saturday? So here's the thing. When you commit to doing something and you are the only person who knows it, the chances of you doing it are much less than if you tell someone else. Even if you're me and you're like, I'm going to be able to do it. I'm going to tell someone else, this person over here, because I know that I don't want to let her down and I don't want to say something and then not do it. Integrity is a big issue for me. So for us here, to be able to help you stay on track, to be able to help make sure that you know that this is what you committed to doing, I want to hear in the chat how many people you're going to reach out to and start this conversation. This doesn't mean how many people you're going to reach to and get to the end and make a sale. I don't want to like recognize people for the end product, because the end product really is like out of our control. But the beginning product and the actions and the energy that you put into it, that is all you. So that is what we want to track. So I want to hear how many people are you going to reach out to and have this conversation, and Cynthia wins the prize. Cynthia, thank you for reaching in. 5, and I definitely want to hear, I think you're inside our app too, and you're inside the book club. I want to hear inside the app how this goes, all right? We want you to check in with us and let us know of those 5, like when do you reach out to them? What are the conversations? Because this is the way that we learn. We learn through having conversations, bringing that to a mentor, to a team and saying, hey, this is what happened. What do you guys think I could do differently? And I'll be able to jump in there and help you with that, all right? All right, Cynthia, proud of you for that. Who else is here? We have 8 other people. I want to hear how many people you're going to take through this process. In the chat, hook me up. I want to know. All right. I want to ask you a question now.
Okay.
Because I've been talking a lot and I need to drink some water. Okay. So as we wait for everybody else, if you could give one piece of advice to someone struggling to find their first client based off what we talked today, what would you tell them?
That it doesn't have to be complicated. I mean, we really broke it down for you guys to kind of take these steps, and it will all fall into place. So don't overcomplicate it. Don't feel like, and don't let that be an excuse to not find your client. That it's not something that is super difficult. I think it's just taking that initial step. And once you find that client, that first client, and you start to work with them and you change their life, then that will improve your confidence. So just do it. Yeah.
And like we said in the beginning, you're going to learn so much from this process that you would not have learned if you just take action. Take messy action. I promise you, you will produce incredible results. Marie asked a question. Can I reach out even if I haven't finished PCC? I'll do 5.
That's a good question.
Yes. I don't care if you have a program or product yet, even. Like here's what I want to say to this. Marie, thank you so much for asking this. But if you are somebody who's in the creation process of starting your program and product, this is the perfect way to do it. All right. Yeah. I can literally right here, right now, just say, hey, I'm in the process of like brainstorming a new program that I'm putting together for leaders who want to be able to connect better with their families. Would you be willing to jump on and answer some questions and provide me some feedback on like what that would look like? I would appreciate it so much because I really value your feedback. Now I could have nothing put together, but I can ask them some really powerful questions to figure out what are some things you'd want to learn from me? What are some things you're struggling with right now? And now I can turn it around to be like, okay, so if I had this to this and this and this, would that be something that you think would be helpful, right? Do you know of anybody who might want to actually join something like that, right? And they're like me, and they're like, okay, well, I'm in the process of putting this together. This is what it's going to look like. And this is what I'm going to do for you because you actually helped me put it together, right? This is all of that process. So no matter where you are, I don't care if you're brand new in your business, you just started your MLM, you just started whatever, or you're even in thinking theoretically of like, like that's why this is called your first client. A lot of people, and I want everybody to take this to heart, a lot of people think you need to have your program and product built before you actually sell it. This is what Teresa said earlier. That is bass-ackwards. All right. Hopefully YouTube doesn't pick that one up. All right. Meaning, if you're creating a program and product and you're doing it out of your brain, you're not necessarily creating it for the person you're actually creating it for. Because when you talk to them, they're going to tell you different language. They're going to tell you different things that they want. They're going to tell you, because if you're creating it out of where you are now, you're not creating a program for the person that you used to be or the person you're trying to help. You're creating a program that sounds theoretically awesome for you, but that's not how we really connect with people and help them with their problems. We got to find out where they are. We got to find out what they want to learn and what they believe is the thing that they want, right? And when we do that, we just ask questions using that sales process that I told you that video. If you're in the Inner Circle, if you go to our app, that's the Tactical Accountability Squad, on the top, I pinned a note that has all of our past recordings. One of them is, if I was to join your sales team for a day, what would I teach you? Go into that. I know it's long. It's like 2 hours. I actually provided you with an exact script that I use of the questions that I ask and get people to like sell themselves. Not because I'm trying to sell people into something that's not going to help them, but because if they answer the questions a certain way, I'm like, absolutely, I can help you. And if they answer it another way, I'm like, no, I don't think this program is right for you. But there's certain questions that I use and I've developed them over 12 years and I wanted to share them with you. So if you're part of the Inner Circle, that's definitely something that's available to you. Go into the app, look at that pinned post, pull it, rewatch it, and now you'll have some ideas of like what to say and what some questions to ask. But you also don't need to have all of that done before you do it. Like this is simply, what if you were just sitting down and having a conversation with like your closest friend, your girlfriend, and you're like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about putting together. What do you think about this? Right? This is what it would have. These are some of the things that I would help people struggling with. I'm curious, like, what are some other problems that you think like they would have, right? Mm-hmm. And you're just having a conversation. We make it out to be so much when it's like a potential sales call. It's a conversation with a human. You have those. At least I hope you do. And all you're doing is trying to think about like, how do I help them get what they want? Right? You're not like, oh my God, what am I going to think? What is this going to mean about me? I don't want to feel salesy. You're making it about you. It's not about you. It's about them. It's about you helping solve their problems. If you can help them solve their problems, do it. And if you can't, just say, peace out. I can connect you with somebody who can. And that's a really great feeling to be able to do that. But don't make it about you. Always make it about them. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. What? I don't know. You sparked it by your feedback at the end. Okay, guys. Want to remind you, next week, we're having a really, really powerful training. Oh, by the way, you want to pull a card?
Oh, yeah.
We're having a really powerful training. We're going to talk about like the 3 things that we needed to find in order to be able to what's called achieve exponential growth, which is how we were able to succeed in business, in family, and in health. So when it comes to like growing in a certain area, we were growing in one area at a time. And there was a way that we found, and this was around year 6 in our business, that helped us grow in all of them. So in that year, not only did I get into the best shape of my life, not only did we make way more money than we've ever made in our business, not only did I get promoted in my police career, and not only did I spend more time with my kids on vacation and my beautiful wife here, but we were doing it in a way that actually we were doing less. We want to teach you the 3 things that you absolutely need to know if you're trying to do that, if you're trying to experience exponential growth in multiple areas. If you're trying to only excel in one area, this workshop is not for you. But if you're trying to excel in multiple areas, this one is for you. So if you go to modernleadership.us/YouTube workshop, so modernleadership.us/YouTube workshop, you'll be able to sign up. This is one that you actually have to sign up for to get access to the link and all that great stuff. It's something that we want to bring people here on social media. It's going to be open to everyone. And then we're going to follow that up with the next week. We're actually going to get into what's called crowdsourcing wisdom only for Inner Circle. So if you remember the Inner Circle, we're actually going to do our quarterly Zoom call with you guys, where we're going to be able to dive into how we, Teresa and I, can help you achieve that exponential growth once you understand how the process works. Okay. All right. Ready to read the question?
Sure.
Let's go.
Okay. So the question is, what are some things on your bucket list that you have yet to cross off?
Oof. So this could even be a question that you ask your kids, right? What is something that you guys would really love to do in your life that we haven't done yet, right? So what is something that we haven't done yet, but you would love for us to be able to do? Now, for me, when I think about like the bucket list, I want to be able to go to a lot more other countries. The only country I've ever been to is of course, the United States, but also Mexico. Oh. And that's really it. I want to be able to go to Italy. I want to be able to go to Japan. Like I hear Japan is really awesome. Like so many different places. I want to be able to travel around the U.S. in a camper, trying to sell Teresa on that as she hurts her finger. We got an ER visit after this. Really, really powerful question. Definitely ask your significant other, ask your kids while you're at the table. These are just all conversation starters, because the more you get to know your family, the deeper of the connection you have, especially when they get a little bit older. You can ask them these questions and it really does bring everybody together. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for leaning in, like you guys always do. Appreciate you. Looking forward to seeing a lot of you guys on the workshop next weekend. And also looking forward to Marie and Cynthia leaning in, having those 5 conversations, bringing what you get back to us here in the app, and us being able to lean in and help you out even more. Thank you for what you guys do out there every single day. Thank you for leaning in, for being willing to have these conversations, because these people in your life really, truly do. Not only do they know, like, and trust you, but they deserve the best, which means when you have a program, a product, something that can change their life forever, it's time to lean in and to use it. Because if like those people in your life you care the most about, why wouldn't you want to help them make that transformation too? So thank you for leaning in. Thank you for doing that for your family. And we'll see you guys on the next week's workshop. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.